moment of separation. A catastrophic failure of engineering and ambition.
Every air pocket was a bomb, waiting to explode as the pressure mounted. A single boot. A ghost of a passenger who faced the nightmare of the stern's final plunge. 12,500 feet below, the Titanic lies in two pieces, separated by a mile of debris. The stern, a twisted nightmare of physics and fury.
To understand why, we must go back to the moment the pride of an empire was torn apart.
The break was not just a structural failure. It was the beginning of two different fates.
The bow acted like a giant glider, slicing through the water at 30 miles per hour. The journey to the bottom takes over 2 hours of absolute darkness.
Depth and pressure rising fast. We're almost there.
Target depth reached. Good job.
The crow's nest. The very spot where the warning was first shouted into the night.
Because of its hydrodynamic shape, the bow didn't tumble. It glided.
Fell, it left a trail of memories scattered across the ocean floor. The bow struck with such force that it plowed a furrow into the seabed. The difference is staggering. One preserved by physics, the other destroyed by it. Every object here has a story. A suitcase that never reached its destination. The propellers, once the pride of Harland and Wolff, now buried in the Atlantic mud. The stern didn't just sink. It was torn apart by the very water it tried to conquer. The crystal chandeliers of the first class, now shattered and silent forever. The bow remains a monument to the grandeur of the Edwardian era. The safes of the wealthy, now open and empty, their secrets lost to the abyss. Massive sections of the hull were torn away, scattered like autumn leaves across the seabed. When the bow hit the bottom, it buried itself 60 feet deep into the ancient mud. We are entering the void where the grand staircase once stood. The mud acts like a vice, gripping the bow in a cold, eternal embrace. Inside, the decks collapse like a house of cards. This is the pancaking effect. The bridge of the bow still stands. The bridge of the stern was wiped clean by the ocean. The mast lies fallen, a silent witness to the iceberg that sealed its fate. High voltage detected, bypass imminent.
Warning, structural integrity compromise.
Cable brake confirmed, adjusting trajectory. The engines are the only things that haven't collapsed, holding up the weight of the world. A single boiler, thrown hundreds of feet away, a testament to the violence of the break. Inside the stern, there is no room for error. Only a maze of crushed dreams. It's the grand staircase. Once a stage for the elite, now a gateway to the abyss. In the bow, space remains. In the stern, space was murdered by pressure. Child's doll, a silent witness to the terror of the final minutes. Narrator, a teacup, perfectly preserved, a ghost of a dinner interrupted by fate. The breakpoint, a jagged frontier where the ship was literally torn in half. Jagged edges of steel, frozen in a scream of metal and pressure. The bow's break is clean, a surgical separation compared to the stern's carnage. One side shows a clean break, the other, a violent struggle against the inevitable. The stern's debris field is a chaotic map of the ship's final, violent moments. Thousands of tons of coal, the ship's lifeblood, now scattered across the abyss. Laser scanning allows us to reconstruct the puzzle of the stern's destruction. The railings of the stern twisted into a nightmare of iron and rust. One side speaks of a graceful end, the other of a violent death. The kitchens, where the last meal was prepared, now a crushed gallery of copper and silver. Two halves, two fates. One a monument, the other a nightmare. But both are fading away. The steel didn't just break. It screamed as it was twisted into these impossible shapes. A single shoe. A ghost of a passenger who faced the nightmare of the stern's final plunge. Every air pocket was a bomb, waiting to explode as the pressure mounted. For a brief moment, the ghost of the Titanic breathes again. And even the strongest brass was no match for the crushing weight of the Atlantic. The bow glided like a ghost. A final dig. The bridge of the bow still holds its post. The bridge of the stern was swept away by the fury of... The propeller shafts, solid steel, were twisted like twine by the torque of the stern spiral. The propeller shafts, solid steel, were twisted like twine by the torque of the stern spiral. A cloud of darkness swallowed the stern, hiding the carnage from the world for 73 years. One window looks out into history, the other was crushed by it. Even the heavy steel ventilators were twisted like clay by the immense pressure. The bow hit the bottom with the grace of a giant, burying its secrets deep in the Atlantic mud. The anchor of the bow is a symbol of stability. The propeller of the stern is a symbol of a violent end. Beneath the rust, the original black paint still clings to the mangled steel of the stern.
A letter, a final message of love, lost in the silence of the abyss.
The stern hit the bottom like a hammer, shattering into a million pieces of twisted metal. To the fury of the abyss that will eventually turn it to dust. These are rusticles, living organisms that are slowly eating the Titanic's steel. Captain Smith's bathtub, a hauntingly private site in the middle of the abyss. The Marconi room, the last place to call for help before the lights went out forever. The engines are the only things that haven't collapsed, holding up the weight of the world. A single boot, a ghost of a passenger who faced the nightmare of the stern's final plunge. Inside the bow, the luxury of 1912 is being slowly digested by the ocean. It only catches the cold light of our ROV. In the stern, even the strongest safes were crushed like soda cans. A mirror, still reflecting the darkness of a world that ended a century ago. A bowler hat, a silent witness to a gentleman who never reached the shore. The stern was literally turned inside out by the force of the impact. A lantern, its light extinguished forever by the cold embrace of the Atlantic. By 2050, the Titanic will be gone, a ghost ship that finally vanished into the abyss. Time stopped for the Titanic at 11:40 p.m., a moment frozen in brass and rust. Clothes packed for a new life in America, now a shroud for a dream that drowned. The rivets that held the pride of an empire together are now failing, one by one. In the end, the ocean always wins. The Titanic will become part of the seabed forever. A child's shoe. A small, silent witness to a tragedy that knew no age.
Failure of engineering and ambition.
A suitcase, a time capsule of a life interrupted by the fury of the Atlantic. Beneath the rust, the original black paint still clings to the mangled steel of the stern. A teacup, perfectly preserved. A silent witness to a dinner interrupted by fate. Even the heavy steel ventilators were twisted like clay by the immense pressure. The anchor of the bow is a symbol of stability. The propeller of the stern is a symbol of a violent end. Beneath the rust, the original black paint still clings to the mangled steel of the stern. A letter, a final message of love, lost in the silence of the abyss. The stern hit the bottom like a hammer, shattering into a million pieces of twisted metal. As the dust settles, the stern's nightmare is revealed in the cold light of the abyss. The stern is a twisted nightmare, a monument to the fury of the abyss that will eventually turn it to dust. The stern is a twisted nightmare, a monument to the fury of the abyss that will eventually turn it to dust.